morning, Mrs. Gross. I am Miss Jackson, Luke's English Language Arts teacher. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. So I brought you here today because I wanted to discuss Luke's test scores from both last year and this year. So last year, sixth grade, he took the FSA Reading Language Arts test. And this year, based on his scores from last year, he was selected to take the FAIR test. So I'll get into what both of those things are in a second. But first, let's discuss his scores on. I have math here. We aren't going to discuss it too much because I'm not his math teacher, but we will discuss the reading test, okay? So first, for sixth grade, the scale, the lowest you can get is a 259, and the highest scale score that you can get is a 391. Now, as you can see here, Luke achieved a 303, which actually puts him into the achievement level 1 out of 5. So, because he received that level 1, he was selected to take the FAIR test this year. Now, what the FAIR test is a test that selects those who are deemed to be at risk and kind of pinpoints exactly what it is, those areas of concern, so that we can modify instruction for him throughout the school year. So because, like I said, because he got that 1, he had to take the FAIR test. So let's look at his FAIR test results. Now, the FAIR test is a norm reference test. Do you know what a norm reference test is? A norm reference test is a test that compares a student's scores to those of students in a larger subset. For example, the state of Florida. So there are 4 categories of the FAIR test, which are word recognition tasks, vocabulary knowledge tasks, reading comprehension, and syntactic knowledge tests. So I'm going to give you his score, and I'm going to give you the average score for the state of Florida, and then the percentile ranking. Now, as you can see here, I kind of put the 2 in red where he actually had the deficiencies. So word recognition, he received a scale score of 518. Now, compared to the state of Florida, the kids who are in the same grade level as him received a score of 641, which put him into the 13th percentile. So that's one of the areas of concern that we're going to be tackling this year. So the next category will be vocabulary knowledge task. He received a 584. The state of Florida averaged at a 592, which put him in the 47th percentile. So he received a higher score than 47% of the students in Florida.
Which is good, right?
It's average. It's close to half. So, I mean, it isn't one that we're going to really be focusing on too much. He should be able to pick that one up with just whole group lessons and not really any differentiated instruction, which we'll get into. So, reading comprehension task, which is the one where he kind of scored the lowest, he received a 454, and the average across the state of Florida is a 604, which put him into the 11th percentile. So that's the one that we're going to really be trying to force down his throat this year. Now, the last level is syntactic knowledge test. He received, which is the one that he actually scored the highest on, he received a 640. The state of Florida average was a 641, which put him right at the 50th percentile. He was only 1 point lower. Now, do you have any questions about anything?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay. So, like I said, word recognition, which is kind of something that you kind of help him with at home as well. Sight words, maybe, if you can buy sight words, so where I can send one home with him and just keep a log of different words, because that is obviously playing a big part in his reading comprehension, because it's taking him longer to process the words and not leaving enough time for him to actually understand what the text is saying. So these are some recommendations for adjustments for me. These are some things that I'm going to be doing in my classroom to help him. So the first thing is differentiated instruction. Differentiated instruction means that the way I teach him will be different from how I would teach someone else. Smaller groups. So he'll be grouped with kids who have the same deficiencies that he has. So because of his areas of concern in word recognition, this differentiated instruction will be beneficial because we'll be reviewing sight words.
Okay.
And then every 2 weeks, we're going to do a progress monitoring to see if he's mastered those words. Another thing that I'm going to be doing is scaffolding my instruction. That means that I'm going to go step by step with every single thing that I do. So there'll be a portion in the whole group where I will demonstrate without any help from the students. I'll demonstrate what the task is supposed to look like. Then we'll do one together, and then I'll release the students to do it on their own, which is an I do, we do, and then you do. So I'm gonna do that to try to get him to understand exactly what I expect of him. There are a few more things that I plan to do. For example, I plan to send him to one of the interventionists once a week, who come in and pull him out during one of our center times, and he will go with the interventionist for more one-on-one help. Okay? Are there any questions so far?
What do you think I should do at home to help